A past life regression isn't just about the past life. It is about what your soul still needs to learn and heal and has carried forward into this life. If you are wanting to make this your very last incarnation, understanding what you're still working on from previous lives is critical. In this video, I am going to show you how a past life regression can put you in the advanced class and how you can use it as a tool to complete the reincarnation cycle. We're going to cover how a past life regression actually works, what to look for when you're doing one, and how you can apply that information to this life so that you can make this hopefully your last one. I have been studying reincarnation for over 35 years and have done quite a few past life regressions in that time period. I'm going to share with you the framework that I have found the most useful. So let's dig in. So a past life regression is when you get put into a meditative or hypnagogic state, meaning you are accessing lower levels of your consciousness. Your brain waves are going to a deeper state. This allows you to tune into information beyond the conscious mind. It is in this state, whether you're doing it to yourself or having someone guide you through it, that you are able to access the soul level memories that you're still carrying with you in this life. Now, when we do these journeys to the past, it can be quite entertaining and interesting to find out what you might have gotten up to in a previous life. Were you a Roman soldier? Were you burned at the stake? Were you a countess in a foreign land? And that's all well and good. But the true purpose of a past life regression is to help you resolve the things that are still bothering you, that you have not fully healed, learned, or let go of. We are talking about unfinished business, my friend. You have wounds and contracts and karmic imbalances that followed you here into this life. Now, as a reminder, you came into this life form, this particular life that you're living right now, with a set agenda. You wanted to evolve in this life. And so you looked at what you had from previous lives that still hadn't been resolved or figured out, and you figured out in this life, okay, I'm going to have this and this and this experience that hopefully will help me get over that time that I was burned at the stake and I'm still not trusting anybody. So a past life regression will help make all of that more conscious so that you understand, oh, I don't trust people because, yeah, the town ganged up on me in my previous life, burned me at the stake. And so, yeah, I've got some trust issues. Yeah. And so by making that all part of your conscious awareness, it allows you to then be more active and interactive with this lesson and then resolve it more quickly so that you don't have to keep on coming back again and again to try to heal it. Let's heal it now. Let's fix it in this lifetime so that we can have easier lifetimes going forward, if indeed we do have to come back at all. So there are two primary ways that you can do a past life regression. One, you can do it on yourself. You can do a self-guided past life regression. This is my first experience in my teenage years that I really wanted to have this experience. So I found a recording that took me through it. And since then, I had my own journeys that I would undertake to go and explore what my past life was. Sometimes those were utilizing recordings or videos, and sometimes those were just journeys that I went on my own and self-navigated. So that is one way. It's the self-guided way. Obviously, that is the cheapest way. It is free. The second way is to work with a hypnotherapist. They will actually guide you through the process so that you can more fully relax and experience the regression without having to feel like you have to be in control of things. They can help also guide when things get a little sticky. Because a hypnotherapist has guided so many people through past life regressions, they know how to kind of get to the meat of what it is that you're experiencing or seeing. And they can also help you access deeper levels than you might be able to access on your own. Now, clearly, working with a hypnotherapist is the gold standard. I do have one that I have worked with that I've enjoyed, and she does remote sessions as well. So I will link to her information down below. Also, I created my own past life regression meditation that you can take. I will link to it at the end of this video, and that will help guide you through this framework that I have found the most useful. Okay, well, what is it like to go through a past life regression, regardless of the path you choose? Well, first of all, it's about getting in a very relaxed state. This is going to not feel like you're asleep. It doesn't feel like you're so much out of the body, but it does feel like you're super, super relaxed. You might still feel while you're in it that you're conscious and aware and that you're not in a hypnagogic state at all. But when you come out of it, then you could see, oh, actually, I was in a different state. It's kind of wacky that way, that you don't realize how deep you are until you come out of it. Now, I will say that we all have different abilities to be hypnotized. So some of us are highly adept at being hypnotized, and so they can go into a super deep state pretty quickly and pretty easily. Others of us, it might be a little harder for us to relax because we like to be in control, or perhaps we have ADHD, or whatever the situation might be. And so it might take a bit more time, effort, and tools to work through getting yourself into that lower subconscious access of a state. And then once you're in that state, what is the experience like? Well, again, we have different brains. There are some people that can visualize very, very easily and clearly, and there are some people that don't visualize at all. I didn't even know about this until recently. If you tell somebody to visualize an apple in their head, there are some people that can see the apple clear as day. They can see the little beads of water, dew on it, and there's some that have no idea what I'm talking about when they say what you actually see an apple in your head. I just have the concept of an apple. So because we all have different brains, the experience in that state is going to vary as far as how visually real the experience is going to be. Now, I am curious if any of you have done a past life regression and have actually felt like you were there, as if you were in a dream state, that you actually felt like you were walking in amongst those people or that previous time, etc. That has not been my experience, but I am curious if it has been yours. For me, when I have done it, and I think this is probably true for most people, it is a bit more of a hazier imagery. I think the amount of imagery you can expect is similar to if you close your eyes and you imagine what your kitchen looks like, or you imagine what Rome might look like as you walk into the Colosseum. How clear you are able to visualize that right now might give you a clue to how clear it will be when you are in the past life regression state. I will say for me, when I am in a previous life, it is less about what I'm seeing and it is more about what I am knowing, that there's a knowing involved in it. So when I'm being guided by a hypnotherapist and she or he asks me a question about, okay, well, what are you doing in this marketplace? It isn't so much that I see myself doing a particular action, but that it's like, oh, I know that I'm here shopping for my family because I am the person who can go out into public. So that is something to keep in mind when you're in this past life regression, that it's not about seeing, it's about accessing that inner wisdom that is within you. But also very fascinating, beyond that inner wisdom, emotions will come up. You will connect to emotions. You might find yourself in a state where you are sobbing over whatever the scene is that you're engaged in because you are reliving that experience and that pain. And then conversely, let's say you're in an experience where it's your wedding day and you're filled with love and hope and excitement and connection. Those feelings will wake up within you as well. This again is why it can be useful to work with somebody else, because if you're in more challenging experiences, they can help pull you out of that emotional state and have you watch over it. And if you are doing this on your own and you find yourself in an emotional state that you're not comfortable with, you can do that yourself. You can just pop up and watch the scene instead of being within it. But regardless, going through those emotions, particularly those um, heavier emotions that are still within you, and letting them out can be a way to heal and release that old trauma, particularly if you're able to refocus yourself on knowing that you are okay, even though that experience happened, that you are still full and whole, that that was not the end of your soul's experience. Okay, let's talk about the structure of a past life regression, right? Can you imagine a future you going back and trying to do a regression of the life you're living right now? There's a lot of life that you've lived. You can't just dig into all of that in an hour in a meditation. So, when you are doing a past life regression, first you focus on who are you? So, you'll come into the physical body that you're inhabiting in that life and you'll look at it. You'll look down at your feet and look at what kind of shoes you're wearing or what your outfit is. This will give you a clue as to what era or culture or country you're in. You might tune into what type of body you have. Are you a man? Are you a woman? Are you old? Are you young? What's your skin tone? What's your hair like? What can you tell about yourself from your physical expression? Then you will look around into the scene because your subconscious mind will plop you somewhere that you need to go, particularly to help you learn whatever it is you want to work on in this life. Now, I'm a big fan of setting an intention before you go into a past life regression. So those lives will come to the front of your experience. But if you don't do that, your soul will just automatically bubble up those lives that are going to be the most helpful for whatever it is you need, whatever it is you are currently working on in your life right now. So it will plop you into a scene to help you orient yourself. It won't plop you into the middle of trauma. Usually that's not, hasn't ever been my experience, but it'll plop you into a more of a calm scene to help you orient yourself when you first get to that past life regression. Then, what you'll want to do, or what you'll be guided to do as you go through this life review, is you'll want to then jump to important events in that time of that life. These are your key events that occurred that are particularly important to what it is you need to understand about that life. Perhaps you'll go to, I mean, if we're going to go with the witchcraft, the burning at the stake, which I'm guessing maybe a lot of you might have connection to that. So perhaps at the beginning, you find yourself as a woman and you look and you say, oh, I'm a peasant woman in England somewhere, is what the vibe that I get. Perhaps you find yourself in a cottage and you're working with herbs as you see those on the rafters. Perhaps you have a local come to your door that's asking for a poultice for some wound that they have. Okay, that's set the stage for your first glimpse into this life. Then you would move into the key events that occurred. So perhaps the next event is that you're talking with people and they're starting to ask you questions or accuse you. Or maybe it's an event where you have a conflict with a neighbor who ends up being the one that accuses you of being a witch. You move forward to that life. Perhaps then you are at the trial or awaiting the trial. And then finally, you'll want to move to that period where you exited that life. Really important to go through the death scene. very important. Not necessarily comfortable, but important because when we die, if we die in dramatic, traumatic ways, because we are suddenly popped out of that life, we don't get a chance to process through that trauma. And so that trauma sticks with us on the energetic level to be worked out in the future, AKA this life. So if you had a trauma of being in front of a huge group of people and they're burning you at the stake, perhaps you're still carrying the trauma about being in front of groups of people and you really don't like hot places because those are things that your soul is still carrying on as the wounds that have to be moved through, healed, and released. Okay, so there you are. You have your death scene and then you leave it. And then you pop out of it. And if it's uncomfortable, by the way, you don't have to hang out there. But it is good to witness it and then move on to the other side. And then, and this is the critical part of a past life regression, is to then go through the life review for that life. This is where the juice is. You will look at that life and you will ask yourself, what was it that I was challenged with? What was it that I did learn? What was it that I still have to heal in this life? How does this apply to what I am going through right now? So, as you do that, you might work with your spirit guide who will help guide you through it, or you might just tap into your own wisdom, or you might work with your higher self. It depends on the tools that you're using, whether you're doing it as a self guided experience, or if the hypnotherapist is guiding you on that. And then after that, you might choose to say, hey, that was good. I got all I need in that one life. Or you might decide to go into another one and maybe even a third one, depending on how much time, how deep you're going, and how much you want to gather in this experience. If you do multiple ones, you'll find that they're kind of like a string of pearls, that they have some sort of a connection or relationship to each other. And so if you do that at the end, do sort of a meta review. Why these 2 or 3 lives? What is the common thread in these? And you'll find, oh, this life was letting me see how this shows up in a negative way. This life is showing me how it shows up in a positive way, etc. This is what community can look like when it is against me. This is what community can look like when it's for me. And so this is what I'm learning about community, for example. And then when you come up out of your trance state, you will want to record what it is you experience. Do not just let this be about something that lives in your memory. You're going to want to write this down. Now, I did put together a book, a journal that you can use that is all about recording your past life regressions and getting the meat out of them. Again, like I said, the framework that I use to help me understand how a past life regression can apply in my current life is what I captured and put into this journal. I'll link down below if you want the physical copy or if you want a digital copy that you can put on your Kindle. And then my favorite thing to do afterwards is to do research, because we don't always know if what we're experiencing is true or not. Did our imagination just make this up? And I will say that even if it is that your imagination is making it up, which I don't believe, but if it is, I think it still has value for you, because it could be that your brain is talking to you subconsciously, that these themes that you're working on, even if you didn't literally experience them in a previous life, by working with them as if they are true stories, it will help you heal and transform that experience. But I will tell you, I have been pretty surprised when I've gone and done some research. One past life that I recently did, I was in Spain in the Tudor era time period in England, right? So sort of the Middle Ages. And it isn't a time period that I'm very familiar with, but The full past life was quite interesting. And one of the things was I was treated very differently, lower class than everybody else, because of something in my blood that was really important in the regression. That it was something in my blood that caused these Spanish soldiers to treat me like dirt, and that I wasn't allowed to handle weapons. But I was a bit of a craftsman, and I really helped work on those weapons, but wasn't able to actually have them myself because of whatever my identity was that was in my blood. So this was all odd to me. And so when I went and did research, I found out, shockingly, that there were a group of people, and not a group of people, but there were people that were called the Moriscos, that were descended from the Muslim population in Spain. And it was illegal to be Muslim. But so those folks were descended from them, but couldn't actually practice the religion anymore, but had the genetic heritage of that. And in Spain at that time, they called it in la sangre, I think is the phrase that was used, which means in the blood. It really was something about the blood is what made you less than the other Spaniards. So that was something I did not know before I went into the regression. And when I did the research, I was like, wow, this really happened, which then gave me a chance to really kind of sit with it and understand this past life in a deeper way when I was able to really more fully understand the historical and cultural context from the research that I did. Okay, so let's talk about what you're actually looking for and what that framework is as you're going through these past life regressions. First is the lessons you are working on in that life and the challenges that you experienced, the ways that life was hard, the way that you felt challenged, the way that you struggled. It's in those hard parts, the contrasting parts, where all of the juice really lies. You'll also want to look at the relationships in that life and look to see, are those relationships in this life today? So perhaps in a previous life, perhaps in that life, we've got our witchcraft life. Perhaps in our life, that farmer, that neighbor who accused you, right? That relationship, if you looked, you saw, oh, that's my mom in this life. Well, that explains why I don't trust her. That explains why I feel like she's going to betray me at any moment. That dynamic that didn't resolve and there was a karmic imbalance is showing up again in this life for you to work through it or to take it at least up to the next level of experience. You'll also want to look at the things that you were good at in that life. What were you really skilled at? Maybe you were really good at making money. Maybe you were really good at making tools. Maybe you were really great at healing. Those gifts from that past life are probably still in this life, or at the very least, you can still access them. So it might be something for you to look at and pay attention to what you brought forward from that life that you still can utilize in this one to help you fulfill your life purpose or your life mission. And then once you've really paid attention to these particular nuggets of the previous life, you want to look at how you can apply it in this life today. Again, that's why I made this book, not just as a record for what you experienced or did or got up to in a previous life, but as a way for you to work through this life, how you can heal in this life. So you want to look at, how did I learn those lessons in the past? What do I still need to learn? And how far have I already come? Whatever that wound or lesson or challenge or karmic imbalance from a previous life, you've already made progress on it. And it's good to acknowledge the progress that you have already made and to look at where you can still dig in and do a bit more healing. And then be a little bit strategic and thoughtful about, okay, if I have issues around being in front of large groups of people because I'm afraid they're going to burn me at the stake, I can see, oh, I've already grown a bit because I've gotten comfortable in talking to groups at my work, which in the past that was really hard for me. Well, but I still get really nervous in front of large groups of people when I'm being judged. Okay, well, maybe that's an opportunity for additional healing that you're still wanting to work on. So maybe you sign up for some sort of a public speaking class, or you join Toastmasters, or something else that's helping you work through that fear, that trauma in a safe way where you see that you are okay. And by going through that, by exposing yourself in a safe way to that fear, where you see, oh, I actually am pretty strong. I am capable. You see that this, whatever this wound is, this fear, this challenge, this isn't who you are. This is not your actual identity. This is a wrapping that's been placed upon you that you are wanting to peel off and release. So it's great to identify what those pieces are. They'll come up because you're ready to do work on them, because you're ready to heal them, and then do the process where you can talk about and think through, how can I move through this, heal this, move myself forward a little bit in this journey so that I don't have to come up in the next life and go through something similar so that I still have to take this layer of wounds off me. Now you'll find it's possible even going through the past life regression itself can be the healing experience, can be the thing that lets you release and let go of that wound and that trauma. If you've read Brian Weiss's Many Lives, Many Masters, which I highly recommend. This was my gateway drug of a book. I recommend to everybody who's interested in learning about reincarnation. In the book, and in real life, I mean, it's a true story about, as a psychiatrist, he's taking a woman through hypnosis to help her understand and heal on her traumas. And she ends up going through these past lives, which he doesn't even believe in, and neither does she. But in going through it, she's able to release and clear these fears and these limitations that she's put on herself. So the past life regression itself can be the magic. Because what is happening on an energetic level is that this energy gets stuck to you and it gets compressed because you don't get a chance to work through it, move through it. So it's like a scab. I like to think about it as a scab on your energetic field. By going through that experience and moving energy into it, it allows you to open that energy up again so that it can kind of disconnect from your energy field. And when we don't heal them, we get heavier and heavier and heavier, right? Life gets harder and harder and harder, carrying around all of this stuck energy. This can be why your life experience in this life is so challenging, because you're wanting to create experiences that trigger those wounds so that you can clear and heal the scars. Now, reincarnation is all about healing and evolution, about removing all of the junk that isn't us so that we can rediscover who we truly are, these beautiful, powerful, godlike beings. So when I think of a past life regression, I think about it being sort of a cheat code. I think about it being a way for us to get a fast pass through the evolutionary process. You're speeding up the learning and evolution and healing experience by going through these past life regressions. It's a way to consciously engage with and complete these wounds and lessons that could take additional lifetimes. So it shortens down that reincarnation cycle. because you're being actively engaging with your learning experience. Okay, as I have mentioned, I did create a workbook that you can purchase to help you do your fast pass work. And I also created a past life regression meditation that pairs with the journal, that asks the questions that you answer in the journal. You don't have to have the journal at all to do the past life regression, but you can find that here if you're wanting to take a moment or 2 or 10 and dig into what you might have gotten up to in a past life and what you're ready to heal in this one. All right, I'll see you later. Bye.